Hey, what's going on, friends? Devin from Wilderness Water and Woods Trading. Today I'm out here in central New York at Charles E. Baker State Forest. It's a 9,000 acre state forest, very well managed for timber, mainly Norway spruce. They harvest a lot of the timber for the log cabin industry and among others. And it's a very well maintained place. There's over 130 miles of trails between this state forest and a couple others that are right around here that are great for snowmobiling and horseback riding. But I'm actually out in this area doing some training, and I took the opportunity to come out to the state forest, and I'm going to set up a camp, and I'm going to be camping out for the weekend. But I just wanted to go over a couple things with you. I've seen a lot of posts lately on Instagram from Any Wilderness, Micah. A lot of you guys may know him, may or may not, but if you're on Instagram, you should definitely look him up, N.E. Wilderness, and also Manatanith about the Sons of Nessmuk. And we're talking about George Washington Sears. Most of you in the Bushcraft community are familiar with him. If you're not, definitely look this guy up. Nessmuk, George Washington Sears. He was quite a character and quite a writer. He wrote a lot of stuff for Forest and Stream magazine, not Field and Stream magazine. It was Forest and Stream before Field and Stream back in the late 1800s. And he was a huge fan of the Adirondack Park, which is lucky for me because I get to walk along some of his old stomping grounds. Not only walk along, but paddle along, because he was definitely in love with his lightweight birch canoe. Very cool. He was born in Massachusetts, so I would imagine that's why Micah has his affinity towards him. And he ended up moving to Pennsylvania, but he spent a lot of his time in the Adirondacks and really all over the country, and even down in the Amazon. He paddled down the Amazon and stuff, and he really got around, but he knew his stuff. And his principles were really about traveling lightweight, bringing the best gear that you could bring, but also bringing not everything in the kitchen sink. Keeping it simple and really enjoying your time out in the wilderness. The more stuff you bring, the heavier your load is. It might be a long trek. You might have to hike in a long distance to get to your spot. You don't want to be weighed down by all this gear and end up getting into your spot and get there and you're all tired and just like miserable, and then you got to set up camp and so on and so forth. So the less stuff you bring, the easier it is out in the wilderness. And he talks a lot about smoothing it. A lot of people say, hey, you're going out into the woods to go camping, you're going roughing it this weekend. No. That is not the idea. You're not going out into the wilderness to make things harder for yourself. It's time away from civilization and time to reflect on things. And you don't want to bring all this crap with you and work harder than you have to. So with all that being said, I'm going to go through some gear that I brought with me. And it's my little tribute to Nessmuk, as you could say. First of all, I guess I'll go through, I've got my Hidden Woodsman haversack. We don't sell these in the store, but they are freaking awesome, man. You definitely got to check out Malcolm's stuff at thehiddenwoodsman.com. He's not paying me for any sort of advertising or anything like that. He's just a member of the Bushcraft community here in the Northeast, and I love his gear. I have his haversack right here. This is one of his haversacks. This is in the Cryptek Highlander. I got my wool blanket hanging off of there. And he's got a bunch of other great packs and stuff as well. So go definitely check out his store. But, I keep all my go-to items in this haversack. I'm going to open this up a little bit here. Pull some stuff out. And I've got my wool blanket. We do sell these in the store. It's the Rothco 7030 OD green wool blanket. So it's not 100% wool, but 70-30, man, really brings the cost down. I think this thing is like somewhere around 17, 18 bucks, something like that. And it holds a lot of the same properties as a normal wool blanket. Wool is great for, being able to retard fire, I guess you would say. It's a fire retardant. So what I'm going to basically do with this is I have a 0-degree sleeping bag from Alps Mountaineering, but I'm going to set this over top of it because I'm going to have a fire set up. And I'm going to be sleeping next to the fire, and I don't want any errant embers flying onto my sleeping bag and burning holes in it. So, for 18 bucks, a little bit of extra warmth and a lot of protection from burning myself up in the middle of the night. Very cool item. Also got my little Jetboil, super light little efficient cooking system. Yeah, you're relying on fuel with this thing, but if you bring fuel and backup fuel, you're going to be okay. It's really, really lightweight and burns really efficiently. I mean, you're boiling water with this thing in 3 minutes or less. It's pretty wild. So you could cook yourself a quick dinner, boil yourself up some water for some coffee or tea or whatever, and you're doing it quickly. Of course, I've got my Mora Garberg sitting here hanging on the side, as well as my Baco Laplander. So we'll talk a little bit about the Nessmuk trio, I guess. So, you know, Nessmuk was a fan of bringing 3 woods tools with you: a good sturdy knife, a saw, and then I also have my Holzbrook T-Bro, a good sturdy axe. So you want to have your knife, your saw, and your axe, and that is what we call the Nessmuk trio. We'll dig a little deeper in here. I don't have much else inside this haversack. I do have this all-weather blanket from Grabber, General Grabber all-weather blanket. We do sell these in the store, which is an awesome item, especially in the winter. It's great for a ground pad, or, you know, a back wall and a lean-to type shelter, or even behind a fire to reflect the heat back towards you, because it has this awesome aluminized backing on it. And I do have another video that you can check out on YouTube as well, showing kind of one of the setups that you can use. So be on the lookout for that. I lay this sucker out so I can pull out some gear and lay it on there and get my wool blanket out of the snow. But that's another good thing about a wool blanket, especially in the snow, is you can just brush the snow right off and it's not going to be soaking wet. Got a 1-pound roll of number 36 bank line, which has a million different uses. You want to be out here, if you bring your girlfriend or whatever, you could tie her up to a tree way off in the distance. You could give her some alone time, give yourself some alone time, and everything's groovy. Yeah, I don't suggest you do that, and my girlfriend's probably going to kill me now for saying that, but whatever. I love you, babe. So, bank line, number 36 bank line. You could get it in, 100-foot roll or the 1-pound rolls as well. Got a little vacuum bottle from the Adirondack Flag, great local company out of the Adirondacks. One thing that's really cool about this company is all their sales, 10% of that sale goes back to the Adirondack Park, and they make these really cool double-wall vacuum bottles. Let me come around my blanket so you can kind of check that out. Maybe zoom in on it. I don't know if you can see the laser etched logo in there. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I think you can. Should be able to. It's an HD camera. But very cool. Not only do they have these, but of course they're the Adirondack Flag Company. They sell patches. And also wouldn't be called the Adirondack Flag Company without actually having an Adirondack flag. Check that bad boy out. Isn't that awesome? If you're a fan of the Adirondacks, you definitely need to have one of these on your adventures. Makes for a great backdrop in pictures and stuff as well, especially up on top of mountains and things like that, or even just in your camp. When I get this all set up, I'm definitely going to have this guy hanging up there. But that's the outline of the Adirondack Park. Very cool. And of course, inside the haversack, I have something that no person wandering in the wilderness, especially in winter, should be without. In colder weather, a space blanket. It is absolutely imperative that you carry one of these. There is no excuse for it. It's super lightweight, super compact, and super cheap. And this thing could save your life. And a lot of people say, oh man, they're only one-time use only. I'm not going to waste my money. Well, you might rip it. But if you're somewhat careful, you're not going to rip the thing. A lot of people say they have a hard time rolling this thing back up or folding it back up. I've used this thing multiple times, and all you got to do is have a little bit of patience and take your time, and you can definitely fold these back up. And this one's actually in a sleeping bag configuration, which is really cool because I could use it as a liner to better the rating on my sleeping bag, should I need to, if the temperature drops a little bit lower than I want to. But on day hikes and stuff like that, no excuse to not have this in your pack. And who cares if you rip it? If you rip it, it's cheap enough. You throw it, well, you don't throw it away out here, but you bring it home with you, throw it away in the garbage, and it's not going to hurt your feelings too bad. Other than that, in here, I've got a whole bunch of tinder. I've got pine cones inside of here. I've got birch bark and also all sorts of good stuff to ensure that I got some nice dry tinder that I'm going to be able to start a fire with. Generally, I like to collect tinder out where I am, but that's not always available. Like, I'm looking around here right now, and there is not a single birch tree in sight at all whatsoever. No birch trees. Lots of beech, lots of Norway spruce, lots of white pine. Which white pine, you know, you could find some good stuff. There might be some fatwood laying around here. I'll definitely be searching for that tomorrow. But always carry good dry tinder. And also, I do have Surefire. I have the little mini infernos from Pathfinder, because you definitely want to have something that you absolutely know is going to start a fire. And that's it for inside the haversack. Not much, nothing crazy, keeping it light. And then I've got my Frost River Summit Boulder Junction. Let me flip this guy over here, get in a little bit closer so you can see this guy. Awesome lashing points on the side. As you can see, I had my Holtzbrook T-Bro mounted to the side of this with the lashing points. And you know, you can even use molly packs and stuff with it. I've got my molly pouch attached there, which actually holds all my cordage. Got my little Kapilka Kuxka here. Kuxka. I mean, it's not really a Kuxka because it's not made out of wood and such, but it's really cool. They're made out of Finland. They're actually thermoplastic and pine resin composite. Extremely durable, especially in the cold, because as you know, plastic can be pretty brittle in the cold and you might break it. Well, not these guys, because in Finland it is cold and they want to make sure that their stuff is going to last and be durable in cold temperatures. And I could beat this thing off a rock and it's not going to break. Trust me, I've tried. And inside of here, I don't have a whole heck of a lot of anything. All I have is a sleeping bag. I've got a 0 degree sleeping bag from Alps Mountaineering that I stuffed right inside of there. And another cool feature about this pack is at the bottom, it's got another zipper pocket, which is cool to keep stuff that might get wet inside of. It separates it from the rest of your gear. But inside here, I've got my bag of tent stakes. 10 stakes. And I'm not carrying a tent. I've got an 8x10 poly tarp. Now there's a million different kinds of tarps out there. You could go, you know, Cuban fiber, silo nylon, all sorts of craziness that can get expensive. Or, you know, if you're on a budget, you could use just a regular old poly tarp. You know, I suggest getting a ripstop poly tarp like this one. We do also sell these in the store, hint, hint. But there's other tarps available out there, you know, from Bushcraft outfitters. They're a great place to look at for tarps. They got some really cool stuff, especially their multicam tarp, because that one is fire retardant as well. And that's it. Holy moly, that's it. I've got a little bit of food too. Actually, I've got a small little bag over here that I just carry in my hand. I got some beefaroni and some Dinny Moore. And that's it. That's all I got. That's all you bring. And you're keeping it light. Using the Nessmuk principles, keeping it light, and really enjoying your time out in the wilderness. I mean, that's really what it's all about. You know, it's not always a survival situation. I hope you guys like this video. Subscribe down there. Click the thumbs up. And once I get this whole setup done and ready to go, and I'm ready to rock, I'll shoot a little bit of video of that and have it right here at the end. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, I'm Devin from Wilderness Water and Woods Trading. Make sure you check out our website at happyjackotter.com. I just redid the website, took a lot of work. Adirondack Badger helped me out a lot with that. Check out his YouTube channel, and also make sure you follow him on Instagram as well. He's got a lot of great material We share a lot of adventures together, and I met him as a customer, and he has become a very good friend of mine. So make sure you check out his stuff. And thanks for watching, guys. Happy adventures. I have a camp in Yarnell Glen, a hunter's cabin roofed with bark, far from the noisy haunts of men, where song of thrush or meadowlark floats never on the somber air. When summer suns are fiercely hot, and birds sit mute with drooping wing, oftentimes I seek this lonely spot, my cabin by the mountain spring, and spend my days of leisure there. Perchance some book of pleasant vein may while an hour of idle time. Perchance I choose the quaint refrain of Chaucer or of Spenser's rhyme, nor heed the failing day's decline. At night my forest bed I make, on fragrant boughs, and sweetly dream of deer or trout that I may take on mountainside or forest stream, with rifle true or silken line. When autumn frosts have clothed the woods in hues of gold and crimson red, again I seek these solitudes, the moss-grown spring and forest bed. Again I breathe the mountain air. Then give me but my forest home, my rifle, rod, and buoyant health, with freedom where I please to roam. And take who will the banker's wealth, his sleepless nights of anxious care. My Forest Camp by George W. Sears, Nessmuk.